Farming is an art. It demands extraordinary operational flexibility, a constant balancing act between risk and reward, between the zeal of youth willing to embrace risk and the wisdom of experience earned over generations. But farming has never been only about production. It is identity. It is heritage. It is generations of selective breeding, family knowledge, and stories passed down from one generation to the next. Farms carry names because they carry history. At the same time, a new generation of entrepreneurs is establishing farming businesses of their own, beginning stories that will one day become legacies themselves. Every farming journey is different, yet around the world, one trend continues to emerge. Farms are becoming larger, while the number of farms continue to decline. Will fewer, larger farms prove sustainable in the long term? Will agricultural institutions evolve alongside this new reality? Which business model will succeed? And how will family farms continue to compete? Agriculture is one of the industries that helped give rise to modern banking itself. Historically, agricultural lending was grouped under a broad category called rural finance. In practice, commercial banks simplified that into two buckets: farming on one side, non-farm rural business on the other. Agriculture sat in its own distinct high-risk category of production lending. Farming was treated as inherently risky. Non-rural farm business enterprises was relatively stable. Over time, that model began to break down. Banks discovered that lumping agriculture into a single farming category wasn't enough. The farm-non-farm split was useful, but it missed the internal complexity of agriculture itself. Production isn't uniform. It's shaped by weather variability, pests and diseases, input cost volatility, and swings in global commodity prices. These are exogenous risks sitting entirely outside the farmer's control, and yet they hit the bottom line directly. The result? Many financial institutions took significant losses on their agricultural lending books and increasingly wrote off the sector as too risky, pushing much of that exposure towards development finance institutions like the Land Bank of South Africa. But the real problem was never that agriculture was risky. It was that it was being treated as uniformly risky. In reality, agricultural enterprises differ enormously in structure and risk profile. A capital-intensive feedlot has almost nothing in common with a pasture-based beef operation. Crops vary just as widely. Maize is a single-season commodity crop. Lucerne can be harvested several times a season, while orchards for several decades. Some products trade in commodity markets globally, others are niche or purely local, like dairy. Over time, South Africa's financial sector adapted to that complexity. Major commercial banks built dedicated agricultural divisions: Standard Bank Agribusiness, Nedbank Agriculture, and Absa Group Agribusiness, among them. Others like Growbank went further and built an entire model around agriculture, placing all their eggs in one basket. That shift marked a real revolution, from treating agriculture as a generic lending category to understanding it as a value chain-driven, data-dependent ecosystem. That shift marked a real evolution, from treating agriculture as a generic lending category to understanding it as a value chain-driven, data-dependent ecosystem. Banks started hiring agricultural specialists, building commodity-specific risk models, standing up internal training systems, and creating specialized agribusiness units, shifting focus from isolated production units to entire value chains. That transformation reached into agri-tech investment too. In 2018, Nedbank Corporate and Investment Banking took part in a funding round for Aerobotics, a Cape Town-based agri-tech company. By 2021, Aerobotics had raised roughly $17 million in a Series B round, with Naspers among the investors. Agribusinesses is a good example of what this new model of agricultural finance looks like. It runs a subscription-based SaaS platform where farmers and agribusinesses pay recurring fees for AI-powered crop monitoring, using drone and satellite imagery to track crop health, detect pests, and forecast yield. That doesn't stay on the farm either. Banks and insurers use it too, to price risk more accurately, linking agriculture, finance, and technology into a single system. Agriculture, in other words, is no longer just production. It's become a data-driven financial ecosystem where biology, weather, logistics, and capital all move together in real time.